Okay, welcome to our June 9th, 2022 Town of Brunswick regular town board meeting. If you would, please rise.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, anybody that's been to our meeting before know we start with visitors who wish to speak, and then we also have public access at the end. I'm quite sure probably somebody might want to speak tonight. Wait a minute. Well, come on up, guys.
And make sure the mic's on, number one.
Yes,
It's on, okay. Yeah. Make sure you speak into it.
Singer, One Valley Drive. I'm here to make some comments about a May 31st event that took place at the Brunswick Community Center, in which a Congresswoman, Elise Stefanik, attended. And I wanted to put on record and make sure that the public was aware, 2 years ago, I called our town clerk, Bill Lewis, and asked him if our sitting congressman at that time, Antonio Delgado, our direct congressperson, could come and use the community center for a meet and greet. And he also at that time wanted to hand out lawn signs for whoever wanted it. I asked Bill Lewis, could we use the community center? I offered to pay whatever the fee was, $150. We will pay that. Bill said, well, I'll have to find out. I don't know. We're not supposed to use it for political matters, political events. So I didn't hear back until the next day. I called him and he said, yeah, Kath, I checked and I'm sorry, that's considered a political event and you can't use it for that purpose. So our own congressman at the time was denied it. But yet on May 31st, Lisa Stefanik wasn't even our sitting congressperson.
Hey, Bill, you remember that?
Vaguely, yes. I know that over the years, we've pretty much not allowed anybody to use it for political matters. It's just sort of been
Okay, go ahead.
the way it's been going, yeah.
So I just don't think that it was correct for the town to allow this to happen. And it just shows, especially someone so polarizing as Stefanik is, and that the town board would be so political you're all the same party, you have the power, and that you're using it politically. And I just have a problem with that. And I would think that there were, other people in town, this is our community center. So we either have one set rule or it's open. So, and I'm sorry, I wish I could stay for the entire meeting, but I have an Elks meeting to attend at 7:30. So I do apologize for ducking out early. Thank you.
Anybody else on the same subject? Come on right up. I'd like to have your name and address if you would for the record.
Connie Moyes, I live at 2 Short Essex Street, Troy, New York. I also have the same problem. Either we let one person come or the other person, but don't play political parties. So because of that, I feel like I wanted to voice my opinion on that.
Thank you. Anybody else at this point? Hello, young lady, come on up. I met you before.
I think so. Fran Staunton, I live at Highland Creek.
I'm sorry, could you speak a little bit, gotcha.
Right in that microphone.
Fran Staunton, I live at Highland Creek. As far as using the senior, like we call it the senior center, for any political reason is not right. My feeling towards all you guys is, when you walk in the door, you leave your party outside, just like we did in the whole Western Age, you leave your guns at the door. You're representing all of us, not some of us. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else at this point? Over the same, that's, I mean, we have public access at the end. Okay. Francis moved to town from where?
Miss Una.
Niskayuna.
And it's better here, guys.
And
It
she
is.
moved to Highland Creek. She loved it. She mentioned my texting buddy. The bottom line is, we don't get politics, but I've been trying to change her enrollment, but that's never gonna happen, so. she texts me and she keeps me pretty straight about everything, so I just like the fact that you enjoy Brunswick, so. Let me make a comment here. First, I want to say this booking of this event was 100% on me. I got a call from the Rensselaer County Republican Committee, Rich Chris, was the one that called me, and said that Congress Lady Stefanik, they wanted to have a spot for her to meet and greet people in the county, said she's gonna represent most of the county. To be honest with you, I thought it was a little bit of an honor that they chose Brunswick out of everything else. I'm quite aware, I know you don't agree with that, but I just like to showcase Brunswick no matter who it is. I know everybody's making notes, I probably have about 20 people at the end commenting now. But anyway, it was an original bylaw, probably still is, about not having political events. So if you call it town clerk, that's probably what was said. Now, what's happened over the years, I know we've had Republican caucuses there. We've had a Democrat Party caucuses there. The League of Women Voters booked it at one point for informational meetings, which I thought was good. They ended up, they canceled it. I don't know the reason why. But, and in the back of my mind, I think I can remember having elected officials there. And it's too bad because I like Mr. Delgado. I've met him in the meantime. And I've reached a point that I think it's good to listen to everyone. Now, the way that was explained to me, when I got the phone call, it was a meet and greet. Okay. Open to everybody. That was the way I understood. I would not let anybody use this town office. I didn't check with the board. I didn't check with the town attorney because his answer would have been quickly. But what I did do after I said, well, okay, but you're gonna have the $150, whatever. I hung up the phone and then I text Jennifer here, Jennifer Mann, who's a Democrat, Brunswick Democrat chair lady. And I said, listen, Lee Stefanik wants to have a meet and greet in Brunswick, and it's such and such date. So I want to offer it to the Democrat candidate, Matt Costello, am I saying that right?
Costello.
And because of that, I said I want to offer it. I want to be fair, as you mentioned. If we're going to have one person come, we got to have the other party. So I wanted to offer that. And Mrs. Mann called me up, and this man called me up and said, "Can we do Sunday?" And I asked her to call town clerk. I called Bill and said, "Listen, Bill, you know, I okayed the use of this facility. So if Jennifer calls, you know, we're going to book their candidate, Democrat candidate." But she mentioned Sunday, and we're booked on Sunday pretty hard. So I think that's what happened, correct?
Yeah, weekends are
Yeah.
terrible because we have
Yeah.
private parties and then cleanup.
So what happened was, I thought we were gonna have an enjoyable evening. I thought we were gonna have a meet and greet. When I came down the road, I pulled down in there, and all of a sudden there are signs all over, and a protest is going on, which shocked me. And what happened was, I was driving down in there, and a person walked in front of my vehicle with a sign that said basically, you know, we care for kids and not guns. And it ended up being Kathy, so that she left, because when we dropped the sign, it was Kathy Bessinger. But there's a lot of people there. Personally, I thought, I was shocked. My own personal feeling, I was disappointed. And I'm telling you right now, if there wasn't a protest, if there wasn't signs, if you people drove in there and parked the car and walked in, you could have got inside. I mean, the doors wasn't locked or anything at that point. Nobody knows who's a Republican and who's a Democrat. And that's what was supposed to happen that evening. But I went inside, and then I don't know what happened outside. There was one gentleman in particular who I've known my whole life. That he's not here tonight, but he does get quite vocal. And he's a big boy, big guy, big gentleman. So if you don't know him, I think he would be intimidating. And I would tell him that if he was here tonight. But and he was quite loud. So all of a sudden, Rich Chris went outside, stood there, and McLaughlin was there. And then I invited another gentleman who I've known for a long time, he's about 6'8", Bob. And before I said, Bob, you want to come down, meet and greet? So he texted me, and I didn't have my phone with me at that point. And I got it. I called him the next day. He said, geez, I got there and this protest was going on, all these people, and I got out of my car and somebody said, what are you doing here? And he said, well, I came to meet and greet, and he said all of a sudden they got whoever he talked to got vocal, and he said, oh, wait a minute, I just came to play basketball. He said I took my basketball. So then Todd Tessman, who told me I could use his name, he was a county legislator for 8 years. He said he was going to run for 2 terms and step down, and he did. I have a lot of respect for Todd. I found he's always been a straight shooter. He claims he came in and said he started, and then somebody's yelling at him and screaming or something, and he turned around and made a comment. Instead of protesting, why don't you go out and support your candidate? So he said something, and at that point, this tall gentleman told him to go F himself or something. And it just, and then we got inches apart and yelling and screaming. So Rich Chris said to me, we can't let these people in. I paid for it, we paid for it, they paid for it. It's a private event as far as we're concerned now, because we paid it. If we let these in, it's gonna get out of control, and it's not gonna be a good scene, and we can't have this. So they made the decision to shut the door. That was not what I envisioned. I personally, I don't know, things were back and forth. I don't know what's true, what's not true. I don't know. But I know I sat down where Stefanik got up and talked for 15 minutes, and then she walked around the room and one-on-one with different people. But as I sat there, I looked at, and some lady, maybe she's here tonight, I don't know who she was, climbed over the bushes and came up to the window with her phone and started taping every row of people. I'm going, where am I? I feel like this is crazy. It looked like one of them stupid Trump rallies, where everybody's nuts, and I had never seen that. And people coming up to me, are we in Brunswick, or where are we? What's going on? It just got out of hand. I just wish, and you can protest signs, I understand. I just wish that you parked the car, came in, and at that point, we could have been meet and greet and so on and so forth. So it did not turn out very well there. As I was leaving, 3 or 4 people came up to me, and Kathy had leave. Kathy came up and quite upset, which I understand, because couldn't get in, and she was yelling, it's our community center, how come you're not letting us in, you lock the doors. And I said, listen, I made the decision, I thought it was gonna be good. I know she's polarizing, I know that, but I thought everybody could be in there. And I said, the first thing I did after I hung up was, I got a hold of Jennifer and offered it to your candidate. And when I said your candidate, or your guy, I guess I said, I didn't know his name. And she's a Democrat vice chairman. And she said to me, well, what did you call Jennifer for? You call me. And I said, Kathy, you're the vice chairman, Jennifer's the chairman. I would call the chairman, if you get to become chairman, which you was before, I would call you. So that was crazy. So the next day I get a text or an email from another unhappy Brunswick resident that said, I just want to let you know, he's not my guy. How come you said he's my guy? I didn't say it was. She wasn't there, the lady that sent me that. So this is how the social media goes, boom, it's just crazy. I said, your guy, meaning a Democrat, to Kathy. So that's where that came from. Jennifer brought Matt to my farm. She called me on a Sunday and said, we're out, we're campaigning, can I bring him to your farm? And I said, yes. And she came to the farm, right, Jen?
Yeah.
And I was out making talks with them. And, some of my Republican colleagues would probably not be very happy with that. And I said, I just assume not have any cameras because there's so much politics. I'll say it, so much politics in the county, so much politics and all the way up through. I don't like so much politics at the local level. Honest to God, I tried to not play politics. I want to commend Jennifer. She is the Democrat chairman. She doesn't agree with me all the time. I don't agree with her, but she'll call me. I listen to her. She listens to me. And I've never seen her get so excited against anybody, but when the Stefanik name comes up, that lights her up.
She calls us pedophiles.
I know. But when she campaigned, I think that's what you should do to campaign as a Democrat and a Republican. She went around and met people, talked about what's going on in town. It wasn't this nastiness. But somehow everything's nasty. I mean, everything's crazy and nasty. So when they said they're going to shut the door and lock the door, I did not know what to do, whether to overrule them. But I looked outside and the gentleman was carrying on, and I said, get in here. I just wanted to be a decent event. Now, the reason I'm talking so much, I want to explain this. On my phone, we go to Association of Town as training in New York City. There's a gentleman by the name of Chuck Schumer, that maybe some of you know. Chuck was there. As he was leaving, I said, I'd like to meet this guy. So I went over and kind of kid a little bit when you hold a camera up, it usually comes, But I got a picture of Chuck with his arm around me, and there's a picture on my phone that I show some of my Republican, and I've got Republican people that won't talk to me because of this picture on his phone. But what's going on is Brunswick is number one with me, and I think with the board. We have a dam project over here. The DEC says we have a dam. It's on North Lake, on the town reservoir. They said the dam is going to fail. We've done a lot of work. We're under a consent order. We've got to repair it. We've hired engineers. We've worked on it to get it ready. I got a price of $1 million to fix it. I kind of stalled because, to be honest with you, I wonder if we could do something else. I'd rather spend $1 million on our roads than I would on that dam. Now, in the meantime, it's $2 million by me kind of taking my time. I've asked some Republicans for help higher up. Things haven't moved too well. So I wrote a letter to Chuck Schumer. Okay, wrong party. Chuck Schumer has moved our grant request to the next step. Now, that's a long way from getting the money, but he moved it to the next step. That's a major, major thing. I get a call from my grant writer, said that I understand Elise Stefanik was in your town. She came to our farm for the same reason. I get a call from McLaughlin's office. Stefanik wants to go out and come to a farm in Rensselaer County. Can I bring her to your farm? That was a real small key. We didn't blow it up. There was only a half a dozen people there. That's why she was at our farm. So the grant writer says, if you got any communication with her, it would help. Maybe we can get a letter from her to support and get behind Chuck Schumer on this dam. So I sent a letter off asking her for some support. Now, I know it's wrong, and Jen will tell me it's wrong, but in the back of my mind, Chuck Schumer's a very important person. And Elise Stefanik, whether you like her or not, is like number 3 in Washington, maybe gonna be number 2. And if either one of them, if both of them can help the town of Brunswick in any way, I'm gonna ask them. I know they're polarizing, I know. But to me, it's about Brunswick. And so when I got the phone call, can we bring her? I hesitated, but I said, maybe it'll be good for Brunswick. Ended up, maybe it wasn't, the way everything handled. But that's what happened that evening. And I guess we shut it down. I don't know. I like to have it open for if somebody's elected to come and meet the people. But the idea is not to book it and then lock the doors. So I understand. But why it had to be such a protest, you guys can tell me. I mean, there's just we're not used to that big 30 people with signs and standing. But honest to God, if you came and just parked the car, went in, you could have been inside. Am I right?
Absolutely.
And they did a protest later. So I'm done with my speech. Jennifer, come on
I
up.
know it's not public access, but I just, while
Oh,
while
Come
you're.
on up, you gotta get the microphone.
Yes, and I'm Jennifer Mann, 91 Hill Road. And I also very much appreciate having cordial relations with people across the aisle, and I would never tell you it's wrong to ask Elise for money for Brunswick, that's of course right. And I appreciate that you went to Chuck Schumer, and I'm glad he's gonna help. And I think it's really important for people to treat each other with civility, and that's one thing that really bothered me that night. I was not there to protest. I stepped over and spoke to the people who were holding signs. And then I had a clipboard. I go everywhere with paper. I like to take notes. I had a clipboard and a pen. And I walked over to go in. And one of her campaign staff accosted me extremely rudely and said, "You're not going in there. I'm going to stop you right now." And I said, "Why not? I was told it's an open event." And he said, you're one of them. You're a campaign operative. You're collecting signatures for the other side." And I said, "No, this is just a clipboard. I just use it for notes." And he was super, super rude to me. And then I understand that gentleman who got out of control it doesn't help our side. I was totally dismayed by that. But the rest of us were saying, we're not here with him. We're here as peaceful citizens. We want to go, I like to hear everybody too. I wanted to go in and hear, I would like to hear everybody who's going to be on my ballot. If I have a chance to meet them and hear what they have to say, I think that's fantastic for every voter to be informed. But we were very rudely blocked, people who weren't even protesting. So it's not your fault, it's her campaign staff. She is very polarizing. It does draw protesters when you call Democrats pedophiles, just blanketly on Twitter, and all the other things, like so many things. So she is a polarizing figure, she's chosen that role. But I do think that it is the right thing to ask anyone who can help to help. It is not my view, as far as I can tell, she has not done too much to help in North Country. She renamed a post office and minted a coin, and that's as far as it goes. So that's my feelings on it. Thank you for listening.
Yeah, thank you. Anybody else at this point? Like I said, there's public access at the end also. So we can run through this meeting here.
Oh, you want me to talk to you?
Oh.
I can wait.
Yeah, about your situation down there? Yeah, we got, come on up.
Okay. Yeah, just one, Bonnie Fuji, your bed, 36 Kellogg Avenue Drive. Yeah, I'm just wondering what's going on with it, because I know you said it'd be done, this spring, and, the next meeting's the summer, so I'm just worried about it. I did finally get the people above me. Well, he didn't do it as a favor. The other person that was working on fixing the house came and said, I was on my front porch, I don't know, I can hear them, said, "This is an eyesore. Everyone's gonna know you made the mess in that lady's land. You gotta fix that, it looks really bad." So earlier in the morning, I'd asked him, "Look, can you do something? It's 6 feet wide. I've been killing myself out here trying to fix it. I can't." And he said, it's not my problem, I can't do it. The town's the one that made that mess there and I can't make it. But he had told me at one point he was gonna make it. So after the other guy left, Evan, the young man that wouldn't help me in the morning, said he felt bad for me, decided he's gonna fix it for me. And I said, well, it's not gonna be an eyesore for your open house, so thanks for fixing it. So at least it's a little better, like the piece that's on my land, I still can't get across the street at all, but at least it's not real ugly, and it was 6 feet wide, so at least it's not that bad. But, the woman from National Grid hired a contractor to come for the ticket that got put out. And the ticket said, drainage pit. So that's why I texted you, because I said, but no, nobody said they were gonna put a drainage pit in my land. And the woman who was the National Grid consultant said, well, yeah, that's what it says. It says, sounds like you're just gonna put a big drainage pit here. That got me real upset, so that's why I texted you. So you can't put drainage pit. So then you said it was gonna be a concrete catch basin.
On the town property.
Yeah.
On the edge.
On the other side, to catch the water. So
Yeah.
just wondering, so the flags are still there, the trophies go, the flags are there. I wondered if that's still the plan.
It's still the plan.
Okay, so,
We have a new highway superintendent. He's listening to one of his first duties, I guess.
Okay.
Or we will have, so hopefully. Thanks, Betty.
yeah, well, the one last question I just had, nothing changed behind all these in terms of the road, right? Because when I go by there and I look, like that goes, the road goes like all the way back to the end of the property now. You can see like miles of, but that's not gonna be a road.
No,
Okay,
correct, Chuck? There's no,
That's correct.
okay,
The road down there will be only to maintain the pond.
okay. It just goes so far back. I didn't know what was going on.
all right, anybody else at this point? No, so come on, Ralph.
My name is Paula Lanise. I live at 49 Research Road, and Joseph is here as well. And I just wanted this on the record. We've hesitated to bring it to your attention, but we've been in our home for about 11 years, built it there. We have a neighbor above us, the Bedoynes, George and Frank Bedoyne. We're not happy that we built our house there. We've spent the last 11 years with the building department. Dozens and dozens of calls reporting us for everything under the sun, dumbfounded. There was another one, we were out of town at our daughter's house last week. All we could hear is we had to have been walking around on our property because we're putting an above ground pool in that anything we do, I talk to Chuck first because I know better. He said, they have concerns about the children down below drowning. Well, the father of the children down below is excited about us in the pools, so kids can swim in it. We also have a pond. If they were going to drown, they drown in the pond. They don't need an above ground pool. It's been everything from claiming to see an air conditioner hanging out of our second story window, so we should be paying more taxes.
Wow.
I am the mother of Emily Hayden, who was killed 2 years ago.
Who I met through Tamarack.
In 2020, the week Emily was killed. That was good timing for him to make some more reports. So when our family came in, they were in the yard moving the chicken coop because it was 18 inches closer than it should have been to his,
How many acres you got there? You got a little bit of
almost 4 acres.
4 acres, that's what I thought.
And his house is over 200 feet away from ours. We've put plants in, we started erecting a large, we just want to be left alone. They're using the Brunswick Building Department to harass us. My daughter is an attorney, her husband's an attorney. We don't want to take legal action, but if we have to, we will. We want to be left alone. We just want to live our life.
Yeah.
We've been through enough, quite frankly.
We're not harassing you, I hope.
You're not, but you've got to follow through when the reports are made. So then we're getting phone, and I mean, we're talking not once in a while, we're talking one thing after another, after another, after another. I mean, this is outrageous at this point. There's got to be something done.
Yeah.
I don't know what you're able to do. Like I said, we're at the point we're ready to take legal action. We want to be left alone. If there's something that is dangerous or really is going on, by all means. But we're not unreasonable people. We don't even look their way. We don't, I mean, come on, it just, but I want it on record. I don't know what you can do on your end, but we want it to stop.
Can I stop and visit with you sometime
Absolutely.
as a neighbor? Yes.
Always welcome.
Yeah.
It's nice to finally meet you, because I've heard some things about you.
And you have.
From your lips to God's ear, don't believe everything.
And they were gonna be here tonight.
Yes.
And she sent me a text and told me, Fran, that they're quite disappointed with the town of Brunswick building department because we don't follow through on things. And I said, the way I understand this, swimming pool's not even built yet. I mean, what's the problem with the pool? And when you put the pool up, there's gonna be safety features that has to go on there. Now, the big deal, as you know, is a rooster. That's all I hear about now. You got a rooster or something?
Yes, we do.
You wanna listen on tape to your rooster? That makes a Chuck Schumer.
I don't think it's our rooster.
So,
Our rooster's been registered as an emotional support animal, so he is allowed to be at my house. His name is George.
what is George? His name is George.
It is, imagine that.
I did look at the paperwork. For that. That's in the thing now. So unfortunately, the boys aren't too happy with us, I don't think, at this point, but I would like to meet you because I'll stop down sometime. So thank you for coming, because I don't know who we're talking about, you know.
Like I said, we wanted to make it as part of the record so that
Yeah.
it has been brought to your attention.
And if you got problems with your neighbors, sometimes the attorneys come in there, I guess.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anybody else at this point? All right. Come on up.
Thank you.
I promise I won't give another speech. You heard it all.
Great. My name is Gennaro Daniels. I live at 360 Brunswick Road. I'm here to voice my support for the resolution decreasing speed on Brunswick Road. We have lived in Brunswick Road for about 20 years. Recently, I had an illness where I got to stay home. And my entire property is fronted by Brunswick Road. So I got, in the high speed, and we're in the section, which is the high-speed section. So I got to witness and hear the decibel level that occurs with all the trucks going at excessive rates of speed during the day. And if you measure it, I assure you it's going to be at a level which is beyond where it's supposed to be. It is extremely noisy. It's noisy all day long. That's a quality of life issue. The second issue I'd like to bring up is living on Brunswick Road. At the end of Brunswick Road, where I live, it's the end of Shine Road, is where everyone swings. It's the place where people like to go to swim and enjoy themselves. But what they do is they park on Brunswick Road, creating a traffic hazard. So you have people parking on a no-shoulder road with vehicles traveling at 55 miles an hour sometimes. Most of the times it's greater than 55. The other thing is people park on Shine Road, and with their kids in tow and their dogs and their grills and their coolers, they cross over from Shine Road into the swimming area, which is like crossing two lanes in the north lane. I've seen trucks have to stop. This is not going on soon, right? On Memorial Day has occurred, and this will go all summer long. So it's an enormous traffic hazard. When you talk about near misses, I see near misses. Near misses happen all the time. And it's this constant, and there's no way to stop people from swimming there. It's been going on since I was a little boy. It will continue to occur. And I think reducing the speed on Brunswick Road will go a long way at preventing a near miss from becoming a complete miss.
I was on Shine Road the other day. I would like to pave that this year, and that is quite narrow. Quite narrow.
As long as you keep it one lane, I'm happy.
Yeah, is that the secret?
We would like to keep it one lane. The traffic on Shine Road is enormous. It wasn't until a business started up on Shine Road, and the amount of truck traffic is enormous.
DOT and the sheriffs at traffic stop, they're pulling the Millennium truck in up on Tamarack parking lot the other night, or the other day, weighing them and stuff, but trying to get their attention. But what happened happens is they just pay their fee probably, and then the next one they overload it again probably.
Well,
But
you know, he
trying to get people's
contributes an
attention.
enormous amount to the town because of the number of fines that they get. They're more than happy to pay for the fines, it's cost of doing business.
Yeah.
But I think the road being 40 miles an hour is, being 55 is excessive. There is a situation where, you know, well, Pine Woods Avenue, when I first moved into this area, had a higher speed limit, and it was reduced. And the reason why they reduced the speed on Pine Woods Avenue is more and more houses were built. And having cars going at an excessive rate of speed when the shoulder is only about 5 feet and people's houses are very close to the road, it was very dangerous. So Pine Woods itself had a higher rate of speed many years ago, and DOT reduced the rate of speed. So I think it's something that, you know, I'm arguing for the resolution. I don't know what the group tonight's is gonna say. I don't know what the Department of Transportation is gonna say.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
In the old days, I used to go down to Welch, and Jamie, is a friend of mine. We used to take a hay wagon across there, you wouldn't see a car for a while, but that doesn't happen anymore, so things change. Anybody else at this point? Oh, come on up.
Since the timing was right. Erin Pelaya, 2 Village Drive.
I'm sorry, last name was?
Pelaya, don't try it. No.
Well, I'd like you to spell it, please.
Pihlaja is finished. I'm only one of 2 of us.
Thank you.
On this coast.
Appreciate it.
Just speaking also, I just would second the support of the resolution to drop the speed limit on that stretch. I think, you know, for a couple of reasons, I think quality of life is a great argument to drop that. It's also confusing. I mean, when I first moved up to Brunswick, I was like 40, 45, 55, where am I at? So it's kind of like from the vehicle and the driver standpoint, it doesn't make a lot of sense. From a development standpoint, in addition to quality of life, I mean, economic development doesn't happen in a positive, healthy, organic way when you have a 55-mile-an-hour speedway there. You know, we want to cross with our bikes and or walk across that road to go to Engels. You know, we want to go in Eagle Mills. That's like it's kind of a shock when you're on that road and now you're like, oh, I'm 55, here I go. It's very rural. Whoa, a town center. It doesn't seem to make a lot of sense. And I argue all night for dropping the speed limit. But I would say for the record, quality of life, economic development, I can't think of many arguments to keep it as it is. So if that could be in your minds in that consideration, I just want to, yeah.
I've been around for a couple of years in this position. And when Walmart went in, they tried to hook in a north-south road to connect the back entrance to Walmart to Route 2. It was all mapped out. We turned that down.
Yeah.
And it's been my policy and the board policy to try to keep Route 2 rural compared to Route 7. Many developers come in and want to put apartments over there, especially down the road where they're talking about single-family homes now. And we are not believers in apartments. Try to keep that a little bit rural. But what you're having now is there's more and more construction and more need for stones. They tell me that Crusher Run is big demand in New York City and it's so expensive. And that's ground up stones to make roads that they could take on a production out of the quarry up in Callahan for I don't know how many years, but they're trucking it down, putting it on barges and shipping it to New York. So the Millennials trucks are just hammering.
Well, we get from Shine, we get a lot of people, we
Not
walk.
picking on Millennials, but there seems to be a truck, so.
Oh, yeah, it is what it is, but we walk in our neighborhood. So our neighborhood is one of the few areas that the residents can get some outdoor recreational, relief, some exercise. Recreational infrastructure is a huge boon for economic development, keeping it rural, keeping it recreational, like that's what Brunswick is. We get a lot of people up Shine who think that it's a shortcut. They get on 2 and they're like, oh, I don't want to be behind this truck. We'll be walking along and somebody will, and you can tell because they're not cutting up to where we live, which is up the hill, but it's, I would just full on support like a reduction there and like let us know how we can help in that.
So Village, is that where you live?
Yeah, we're right on the corner.
So you're around the former wiffle ball.
I made my comment on record and I will have my seat, but yeah.
Not to get in that, but then the wiffle ball, you're talking about trying to keep the quality of life. The to be honest with you, I was town supervisor for probably 3-4 years before I even knew you existed in there.
It's a, yeah,
It's so
it's lovely,
quiet.
it's lovely, it's
It's a
really
dead
lovely.
end, dead end in there.
Yeah, that's what attracted us to
So,
Brunswick.
and as I mentioned, and the town attorney been with me for a long time and not very happy with a lot of things I do, but I like to talk. So I went down to talk to that gentleman and see if we could scale down the wiffle ball situation.
Appreciate it as well.
And that did not happen. I got a nasty, nasty text on here from him last night telling me he's over in North Greenbush and what I could do. And I'm a dumb farmer and everything else that's not nice. But, you know, and he made it sound like it's just a couple guys playing wiffle ball. He forgot to mention it's a league, forgot to mention lights, forgot to mention porta johns, food trucks, parking on both sides.
We may have noticed a little bit of that, yeah.
What happened is, I did what I do, and I'm gonna continue doing it, because I'm 73 years old, I can't stop now.
You look great.
Thank you. I'm really tired, but the energy drink. I went down to talk to him to see if there was a compromise of some kind, and he wasn't there. There were 4 young guys there, and I went up to him, and they said, you know, what's your problem? I got my truck, the name on it, and I knew one of them. And before I left, he was giving me a hard time, because I stopped, I said, I want to talk to the owner, and it wasn't very pleasant.
We've had similar, it's not very neighborly. It's not.
But what I'm saying is, I talked that's the way I was brought up on the farm, that's what my dad did. That was on a Saturday, the following Saturday, my doorbell rings. It's a friend of mine, said he was over at Junior's in North Greenbush, and he says, you wanna listen to what you told that kid? What are you talking about? Kid taped me,
Oh my God.
I got that here too. And they said, looks like Harrington loses his cool, we're gonna call him up and we're gonna get him mad, and then we're gonna turn the tape over to the Democrats and party, then we're gonna take it. And all I was saying is, I think I was out of line. So things are changing now. I mean, now it's tapes and it's Facebooks and things you don't say, and it's scary.
Yeah,
And McLaughlin, who I don't always agree with, at the Lisa Fonte thing, came up to me and said, you're a bad guy shutting down a wiffle ball. And then he smiled and he said, they called me, and I made it sound like it was just a couple kids playing, and then I find out it's a league, you know. That Saturday, after I left, after talking, I came back, met with the owner. I left, my nephew races at Lebanon Valley race car. It was a late race, I came back at 10 o'clock at night. I went down there, and the game was still going on with all the lights. And I went up and I said to AJ, the owner of the home, the president of the league, I said, isn't it kind of late for all these lights? He said, well, they just scored 20 runs and they don't usually last so long. But the quality of life in Route 2, I mean, I know it's tough, but we weren't happy. I wasn't happy. I don't know if I can talk to all these guys. I know Gordy was quite upset too. That is not your neighborhood, and we have recreational areas. And what I did do, I said to the guys, you want to continue this league? We have, the town owns a facility on Route 2. A ball field, the big ball field is for the older kids, and now it's not being used. I said, I'll offer that to you, bring your league up here, there's bleachers, there's a concession stand, I'll talk to the board. And he says, no, I want to stay here, Wi-Fi. He got a lawyer, but in the meantime, they've moved over to North Greenbush, so I don't know what, because that's a residential area either, so. So thank you for stopping.
no worries, and thank you for all you do, and I understand it's not an easy
I didn't make a
job.
lot of friends with the league, but.
Throw that phone away, that phone's got.
Anybody else at this point?
Maureen Evers, 379 Brunswick Road. I am also in favor of reducing the speed limit. Originally, when the farm went and there was going to be a little shop, I presented a letter to the board requesting that the speed limit be reduced because I thought there would be a hazard. I was told that it couldn't be because it is a state road. I also have signed a petition. I have foiled the state to get all the accidents between a certain period of time. I understand that that FOIL request was expanded. I know a number of years ago, because of the number of deer strikes, that deer signs were put up. So obviously, the DOT has demonstrated that there is a hazard in the area. I will tell you, there was a number of occasions where I've had a bumper of a car in my ditch for the winter because I couldn't get it out, because I live on the other end of Shine Road in Brunswick where it goes, and we do have a car or two enter our ditch on a regular basis. Regular meaning, I've been there for 15 years and I believe there's been 3 cars in my ditch. So that's kind of a high rate. But I also wanted to bring a message from Maureen Madden.
Yep.
She asked me if I was coming to the meeting, because there has to be a Maureen.
I left a message on her phone.
Yes, she did tell me, and we spoke, and she said she would like to know what the next steps would be in respect to the petition in DOT, and if there's any other actions we can take or assist you with.
Okay, we'll do a resolution and go from there. You talk about 15 years ago in the state, there was a big deal to try, which I understand, try to lower the speed in front of Tamarack School, which makes common sense, correct? With the heavy trucks, and the state really pushed back on that and fought that, believe it or not. Kids were crossing, they were going over the plaza, and that didn't make any sense at all. But luckily, we had a gentleman at that point, the name of Senator Bruno. And again, I've been here so long, Senator Bruno was our neighbor, my neighbor, and all of a sudden, DOT listened and they lowered the speed in front of the school. That's why I try to reach out to Chuck Schumer or Stefanik or someone. So, DOT sometimes, they have different thoughts. So, anybody else? You can see this is my one night out I talked. All right, ready? We'll go right through here. So. Gentlemen, minutes of the previous meeting, May 9th special meeting, May 12th public hearings, and regular meeting, May 26th, public hearing and special.
I'll make a motion to accept them.
Have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Report by elected officials, department head, town clerk, Mr. Lewis.
Okay. So for the month of May, we're going to remit to the back office $32,533.02. Majority of that's going to be, of course, from the summer camp registration. And rounded amounts, recycling sales, $4,410. Rental fees, 14 community center, 1 pavilion for $2,200. As I mentioned, $24,500 in summer camp registrations. When I wrote this up, we had, that's what we have now, 135 registered campers. The biggest issue is we could probably have more, but there's been a very, very bad situation. It's like everywhere else. Kids don't want to work.
We have had so many counts.
They're having a heck of a time. Right, you have to have a ratio of
The website
counts.
says that deadline is passed, if you're still looking for candidates.
Oh, we are still looking for candidates. Please, please.
Summer job.
Yes, yeah.
I
Yeah.
get an application.
Seriously, a few years back, we were fighting people off.
Yeah.
But now it's just impossible to get them. So it's a big problem. We could take a lot more people. We have a waiting list now. We've never had a waiting list before. But now we do.
It's a great program.
Yeah. Okay, so moving on. Dog licenses, $237. 14 new residents and 18 that are renewed. And then we have $1,184 in miscellaneous fees. This time, DEC, out of $1,215, we got 67 of it. So that's not too bad. $400 for peddler permit and $532 for vital statistics, which are marriage licenses, certificates, and so forth. And that's about it. The summer camp, the summer concert program is going to be starting up. At the same time, it's going to be a very interesting day. We're going to have primary voting, which is going to start on the 18th, I believe it is. 18th of this month, and goes for 9 days, then a day off, and then Tuesday the 28th is the actual primary day. The last few primaries, it was all here at the office. This time, just so everyone knows, it's here at the office for the early voting, but come the day of, the 28th, it's going to be at your normal polling places. Yet that has changed, just so the information's out there. The polling locations that would normally you would go to Brunswick One Firehouse, Sickaway Firehouse, those are now moved to the Eagle Mills Firehouse. The people that would go normally to the community center to vote, that is now here at Town Hall. Everything else is the same. Now, Board of Elections said that they sent out cards, and I have heard from people that they did get cards in the mail. I just wanted to make sure you all knew that. And main reason for that, Sickaway is doing a big parking lot repaving. And with the summer concert series and everything happening that day, it was just as easy to move the community center up here. That's not as big a deal. It's a fairly small district. So that's it for my office, I think.
Very good.
Okay.
Entertain a motion for the village report. All in favor? Highway Department. Mr. O'Donnell.
Good evening. The highway report for May 2022. We swept roads 8 days, removed plow frames, and put up military banners 1 day. Rolled the soccer fields 1 day, gravelled roads 4 days, pulled cardboard 1 day, ditched roads 6 days, cut shoulders on roads 6 days, built a new beach dock 2 days, brush pickup 5 days, patched roads 4 days, mowed the ball fields 5 days, shared services with Grafton 2 days, shared services with Rensselaer County 2 days, and we had 4 new employees on that.
That's excellent. They're young and ready to go, right? Make a motion to approve Ed's report.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Mr. Bradley, Water Department. Bill?
Water and sewer report for May 2022. Completed all our water testing. The Sharp Road project has been continuing. All the water lines are in, the survey lines are in. We're going to prepare next week to start doing road surfacing, sub-base over there. Coordinate with our new highway superintendent, make sure that gets inspected and is done properly. Again, at Hannaford site, it continues. They have their water in from Route 7 down to the building. They have to do an interconnection on Lord Avenue because the road shifts in this whole arrangement. We're going to abandon one of the old mains that's in the road and on Lord Avenue and pick it up below Tucker. So that's continuing. That's probably going to take place in the next couple of weeks also. So that whole project is moving quite well. They're trying to get vegetation to grow down there to establish, the detention ponds and everything else and get those established so that they will hopefully operate properly. And all these, as we've done by there's a big hole in the ground, which they're going to start filling back up again so that they'll be ready for foundations, I guess, in a couple of weeks to start that work. We've surveyed about 4,000 feet of sewer mains with Galusha and Sons as part of the Hannaford and the Always project in order to look at for infiltration there. And we found some locations and we're going to come up with a plan. They're required by DEC to remove some of the infiltration with the new stores going in there. So, like I said, we covered about 4,000 feet. And what's kind of disappointing in one regard, it's actually been hard to find infiltration. We found some key locations, but the good news is that we don't have a lot of infiltration. So that's good stuff for us. Bad for them. That's why they've surveyed 4,000 feet so far. We had to replace one of the, I would call new pumps down in Highland Creek. They've only been in 5 years. The bottom of the casing blew apart, so I don't know if it was a manufacturing defect or somebody dropped it before installation or whatever, but fortunately we had bought a pump a few months ago. At the time, it was the only pump left in the United States of its size, so I guess I made a good bet on that one. And we put that into place, and that's operational. We're going to start reading with a new radio read software next week, and hopefully we've done our homework correctly there, and that's going to go off smoothly. And let's see, just once again, just remind the public they're listening that the water rates unfortunately have gone up to $5 per 1,000 gallons, which is a result of the Detroit increases. Thank you.
Now, tonight's warrants, you got a large dollar number in your department. What's that for?
Yes, very large dollar amount. That is for,
Fifty some thousand.
yes, that is for the new radio readers. They cost almost $300 a piece. And then I can't remember the exact number off the top of my head, but, yes, it's an investment in the future. It's an investment in safety. We've been replacing these meters in areas, again, going back to some of the concerns of the neighbors here. These guys expose themselves to dangers when they take them back into traffic or try to turn around traffic on Route 2, and some of the other locations on Route 7 and that, where, they're pulling a truck to the side of the road to get out and get back in the truck at the side of the road. So we've been going for key locations like that in order to improve safety for our guys out there that have to read the meters. And eventually we'll also save on labor because we will be cutting down the time that it requires people to read these meters, and we'll have more accurate data on a monthly basis as we move ahead.
Thank you, sir. Entertain a motion for Bill's report. I'll make it. I'll second it. All in favor? Aye. Chuck, Mr. Golden, Superintendent of Utilities and Inspection.
Good evening, gentlemen. My building department report for May of 2022. 93 building and property inspections, 398 active building permits, 30 permits issued or renewed, 15 meetings, 2 planning board meetings, 1 zoning board meeting, as well as a joint planning meeting with the planning board. 0 court cases, 1 fire inspection, 4 follow-up complaints, 2 code call-outs of their inspections, 11 code complaints, 10 code complaint inspections, 0 vacant or abandoned properties identified. We have 12 planning board projects and 9 zoning board projects.
What happened at Walmart?
Someone lit the dog beds on fire. They have a suspect.
Dog beds? Good.
No, the market. And one of the firemen, I forget who, as I walked by him, he says, I never thought I'd hear the day when they said pressurized 1.5-inch line inside a Walmart. So they actually got to bring an 1.5-inch hand line in and knock the fire down.
A lot of water.
Yeah, there were 3 sprinklers that were discharged that had to be replaced, and a fire protection system that didn't cut the mustard that night. They were trying to shut the sprinkler system off, and the valve fell off the side of the building. So the sprinkler stayed on until we get into the pump house and shut it off, but they didn't have the proper key to the pump house. So the pump house door had to be forced open. So I met with them the following Tuesday, together with Gus Depot from Brunswick One, and have gone through the procedures and policies and made sure the proper keys are in the proper lock boxes.
I contacted our fire company the next day and told them they did an excellent job.
They did.
Took a lot of work.
Oh, yes.
Entertain a motion for Chuck's report.
I'll make it. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Town attorney, Mr. Chauncey.
On May 26, 2022, I attended and participated in a special town board meeting and a public hearing before the town board. The public hearing was conducted under the town's unsafe building structures, equipment, and sites law in connection with the building fence located at 383 North Lake Avenue in the town of Brunswick. The special meeting was called and conducted to consider further proceedings involving the fence at 383 North Lake Avenue, as well as to undertake preliminary actions as concerns the adoption of the local law amending and updating the town zoning law. As to the new zoning law, proposed introductory local law was introduced, and a resolution was adopted whereby the town declared itself lead agency under SEQA, referred the proposed new zoning law to the Brunswick County Bureau of Economic Development and Planning and the Town Planning Board, and scheduled a public hearing on the new zoning law for July 11, 2022. I also prepared the resolutions that are going to be acted on tonight. I worked with the building department regarding outstanding code violations and complaints. Worked with the supervisor's office on various personnel issues and purchasing issues. assisted the building departments and other town departments regarding responding to some freedom of information law requests. I performed legal research, provided legal opinions, and reviewed or prepared legal documents as requested by various town officials and employees.
Thank you, sir. I'll make a motion for County Court. Have a second.
That's
Okay. All in favor? County Court, Sharon?
My foot went to sleep. Now,
Sorry about that.
over an hour so far.
No, we don't usually have it.
Oh, God, you guys, see, Phil and I, we're the oldest. Keep it up, Phil.
Yeah.
Government is good for you. The Times Union recently issued its annual Best of the Capital Region survey results. And once again, Brunswick's Plum Blossom Restaurant scored first place win as Best Chinese Restaurant, while Dunkin's Dairy Bar scored fifth place as the Best Diner category. In the Best Music Group category, the band The Refrigerators, always a big draw at Brunswick Summer Concert Series, again scored first place. And sadly, none of these winners' association with Brunswick was mentioned in the listing. Now you gotta go through all the pages and figure out where these places are, but we're still making a good showing. Thinking about our upcoming America 250 celebration in 2026, I made one of my major projects this past month, the study of a Revolutionary War soldier named Benjamin Brewster, who once resided on the slopes of Bald Mountain where he had a farm. And he started appearing on the tax rolls of Rensselaerwick, as the town of Brunswick was known before it was formally created in 1800. I looked at 30 online resources as well as historic maps, and much of Benjamin's life story remains elusive. And this is often the case when we're dealing with common surnames and a wide variety of handwritten historical records that sometimes include nothing more than a name and a date. Benjamin was born in Albany in 1749 and died in Brunswick in 1827. Available records indicate he lived in Schaghticoke prior to the Revolution, and his military service may have included stints in the 3rd New York Regiment of Captain John Grinnell's company in 1775, and with the Lansingburg Company of Stephen L. Schuyler's militia in 1777. I say may have included those two regiments because, again, there were other Benjamin Brewsters alive at that same time in upstate New York. According to a cultural resources study issued by Rensselaer County in the 1980s, the Brewster family burial ground was obliterated during a road construction project, which I think was Plank Road, back in the early to mid-1900s. Our former highway superintendent at Duncan was a longtime resident of Bald Mountain area, and I had approached him and said, Ed, you've been around here a long time. Can you find something out about this? Because I had just been to a lecture and learned about the destruction of this cemetery. And Ed asked around, he had no memory of it. It had to occur probably in the early decades of the 1900s. We do know that a direct descendant of Benjamin's is in the local area. He lives in Niskayuna, and he believes Benjamin was a descendant of Elder William Brewster, who immigrated to America with the Pilgrims, but this has not yet been confirmed as something that would be a really nice thing to confirm by the time we get around to celebrating America 250. But as the historic maps indicate, Benjamin's descendants continued to occupy his Brunswick farm of nearly 200 acres through much of the 19th century, and indications are that farm may have afterward been owned and operated by a family named York. As announced in the June 3rd edition of the Eastwick Press, thank you, Doug. I don't know if I'm pronouncing this right. Stride Chinoy Oneness Home Peace Run was announced for. It was coming through town on Tuesday. The largest peace torch relay in history, scheduled to pass through Brunswick. Specifically, it mentioned Eagle Mills as it made its way from Catskill to Bennington. I was trying to remember to look at one, but then I got a call around noon that it had already gone through Eagle Mills and was down on Route 2 headed east. So it did come by, and from what I understand, it was just one runner carrying a torch. Remember the Olympic torch came on Route 7 shortly after Walmart opened, remember that?
Remember.
Yeah. These little things that get lost. I volunteered for Garden Day fundraiser at the Brunswick Library, 5 hours in the sun, selling books and raffle tickets. Something that my husband and I look forward to participating in every year. And invariably, I have some folks come over and say, "Gee, I hear you're the town historian, can I ask you some questions?" Fortunately, I'm usually able to answer them. This year, the questions were 3 questions about the District Number 6 brick schoolhouse on 278, including its ownership, the responsibility for its maintenance, and its use today. 1 inquiry about the former Eddy home, which is the big house immediately east of the library. That nice, I guess it's all apartments now. That was the Eddy home at one time. I don't believe that's the original house on the property. It may have been enlarged or changed in some way. 1 inquiry about how the Brunswick Historical Society acquired the Garfield School. Well, the Garfield School actually is owned by the town of Brunswick, which grants the Historical Society the use of the building for its purposes. And 1 inquiry about the significance of the property early occupied by one Henry Morrison, which today hosts Laughing Earth Farm. Yes, that is one of the best surviving examples of an early Brunswick farmstead. And the lease granted by Stephen Rensselaer is in my office. That's one wonderful original document that we have in our collection. On June 7th, I received a call from the director of the Lewis Miller Museum in Hoosick Falls. Remember I mentioned last month that we had just had the retirement of the town historian up there, and they were looking for assistance in responding to a visitor's inquiry about the origin of the Tom Hannock Reservoir and the name of the hamlet, which was flooded for its construction, which I had in the last town newsletter. Does anyone remember? Right. Tom Hannock Flats was a little farming area in Pittstown, which was flooded to construct the Tom Hannock Reservoir, which furnishes water to a number of Brunswick residents, but is actually entirely located in the town of Pittstown. It was a good thing I did that picture in the town newsletter, so I was able to answer that phone call, right? So, okay, guys. It's with mixed emotion that I announce I will be stepping down from my post of town historian, which I have served in for 28 years at the end of this month. So back in January 1994, for those who came in late, I was dedicated to a career with state government and hoping for an early retirement so I could spend more time with my aging parents, maybe do some foreign travel, improve my photography skills. Phil remembers I was always up at his farm there photographing the cows and the old barns on his property. Oh, well, then Tom Walsh won the election, succeeded Romeo Maples as Brunswick supervisor. I think Phil Harrington actually had more to do with this than Tom Walsh did. I was offered the part-time job of town historian. Tom said, well, you only have to put in 10 or 15, you can handle it. You only have to put in 10 or 15 hours a month because we can only pay you $1,500 a year. So I thought, well, that sounded okay. So I've been doing a lot of volunteer work with the Historical Society, and I was anxious to have a little extra something else to do. So for 3 years, I held 2 jobs. I used a lot of vacation time from my full-time position to attend historians' conferences and be available to participate in daytime projects with school children. And then Phil became supervisor and I continued my appointment. So the opportunity to work with the community where you live and is wonderful, something I'll always cherish. It's been an incredible experience. I can't find the words to tell you how much I've enjoyed it. And it means a lot
I was not born in Brunswick. I'm from Orange County, New York, but I'll tell you, if you went back to Orange County, back when I was a little girl and went out toward Haynersville now, you would see that the two areas were about the same. I grew up on a road that was like 351 on the corner of my grandfather's farm. And this is scary for me. I have worked ever since I was 15. I have never been unemployed. I mean, have to get along. Go up and cow, because my first job was as a helper
I
on
guess
a
we're
farm, helper on a farm.
gonna get you a volunteer.
Yeah, right, lifting bales of hay, that's why I'm a big strong girl. Anyway. But back when we were isolating during the pandemic, I spent a lot of hours reviewing my personal journals, which are full of list of occasions and events and community projects and all kinds of things that I studied. I came to understand a lot about our town, and I hope serve the town well. Just so many opportunities to develop associations with townspeople, visitors, and professionals as well as volunteers who were interested in some aspect of preserving our history, discovering history, preserving the past. It was just absolutely incredible. I can't tell you how many people are in my phone book. The sad thing is now at this point is I'm starting to have to cross names out because we've lost so many. And when I look at this town board, I mean, Bill Lewis, I knew your mom long before I knew you. Gordy, I worked with your dad on preserving the Forest Park Cemetery records, and thank God for that man, because he wasn't going to give up that stack of records until he knew that there was going to be someone, and he held on to them even when the Naples administration created the first council to advise about Forest Park Cemetery. He held on to those records, and then when we had a second group involved, he called me and he said, will you promise that these records will be maintained in a safe place? I thought he was talking about a couple of books. Go look in my office, this high stack, and they're heavy bound leather records, wonderful collection. And then I met your mother after that, when she took up a residence down here, my mother-in-law. I got meat from your grandfather. I don't know, is that beef you raised or him? I don't know. They sold it as mother's beef, and I stopped and get it. And I worked with your mom, Sheila, at the local library and historical society. Phil, I met your father before I met you or your brother. I met your father one night with the Stewarts at Clump's Corners, was over in Tamarack Plaza. And I wondered what this man was doing, shuffling the milk containers around. He was looking at the prices.
Oh, yeah.
Mark, I'm sorry I didn't know many of your family. I know that you lost your mom since I had met you. And Mr. Sipperley's parents, Becky and Bob, were like among the first people I met when I moved to Brunswick. Met them at a church social or some kind of fundraising event. They lived near Eagle Mills, and we did a lot of projects together at the Historical Society. Your father agreed to take the presidency one year if I would take the vice presidency. So I said, well, Bob, you got to promise to stay for 2 years, because, normally vice president succeeds president, and I wasn't quite ready to take on the presidency in 1 year. So he said, oh, yeah, sure. Then after his 1 year was up, guess who had to serve as president, because he was too busy with, what was it he worked with, Farm Loan Credit Bureau or something, yes. But he comes from great people. So this is tough. But my husband came to, I was here first. My husband loves Brunswick as much as I do, and he has been my best and most steady helper. Often says he never dreamed that he would see me involved, much less help me with things like songwriting workshops, video scripts, learning about Eagle Scout badges. I've got 4 of them. Dressing up in long, old-fashioned skirts and teaching in a one-room schoolhouse. We had to take water in jugs and pour it into galvanized pails at the schoolhouse on Route 278 because there's no water there.
And we couldn't very well pour it out of a plastic picnic jug or a plastic bottle, because, this is supposed to be like 1900. So we did that a lot of times, but he was good. He'd come down and look at all that stuff with me. Once we spent a weekend driving around town, knocking on people's doors to see who might have a pair of men's size 12 boots that looked like they were made in 1900 for a kid to wear in a video production. And we did find a pair for that young man. So most months I did put in a lot more than 10 or 15 hours, but every second was worth it. I've been proud to represent Brunswick in so many ways, proud to be associated with you all. And I've always been content to call this my home. It's a lot like the place I came from. I don't intend to move. I wanted to mention, well, I can't see Lewis. It's not the tears. My eyes are just going. I'm grateful to Lewis as he's enjoyed being a big part of this community, especially through his volunteer service with the Brunswick Library and his continued contributions for that organization. We will be organizing, with Lou's help, I hope he'll help me, I'll be organizing records and notes for the next couple of weeks to convey to my successors. Probably really going to take me a couple of months, let's face it, because I'm not going to knock myself out in the hot weather. But I am determined that I will leave things in better shape than I acquired them back in 1994. The person who preceded me had a lot of physical problems, didn't drive, there was no computer use, there was no space for that person in the town office. So things have changed, but your work is useless if you don't pass it on to the people that follow you. So we're looking forward to spending a lot more time out in our backyard in Eagle Mills, gazing at the lovely landscape views of Wheeler Mountain. But I'm going to be back next month with a short report, and hopefully I can do another town newsletter article. I've got something special up my sleeve. And that's about it. We don't intend to leave town. We'll be around. I've got over 52 years of public service in my blood. That's really all I know. So I will be happy to be asked questions, do a little volunteer work with you guys. Thank you so much for supporting my work. And thank all you great people for the turning out at all the things I did over the years and patting me on the back and asking your questions, because that's what really kept me going.
Sharon, I'd like to officially invite you back next month. I know you probably don't want a clock. We're gonna get to the next meeting. Maybe a nice resolution and a cake, coffee. You tell me what you want, so. You got a lot of pressure to me, I know that, so I'm gonna be kind to you. We want a cake. Of all of us.
Yep.
You've done Brunswick
And
very.
your homes.
You've done Brunswick very, very proud, and for supposedly a lady that moved from outside of Brunswick, I don't consider you ever being anywhere besides Brunswick, so.
I know.
Brunswick is your home, so. Bottom of my heart, thank you for everything, so. Well, how do you top this?
Make a,
Tom, come on up, give some recycling report, okay?
we gotta accept.
Whoa. Well, if we don't accept it, she doesn't retire, right?
Oh.
Motion to accept her report.
I'll second.
Okay.
All in
There we
favor?
go.
Aye. Yeah, there you go. Tom, come on up, tell us how we're talking.
See if you can top that, Tom.
You going anywhere?
Tom's dad, for people don't know, is a local doctor, so.
Yep.
Right, Dr. Engster, back in those days, you had two pills. What color were they, gray and? Purple and blue. Purple and blue. My mom took me there many times, it all depends whether I'm dying or not, I got a purple one, if I'm real bad, and I got a blue one. So, and guess what? We all got better. So, that's Dr. Inkster. Go ahead, Doc.
Thank you. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Recycling report for May. Blue bags purchased at the center, we had $454 and $3 for $1,362. Blue bags purchased from our vendors, 600 for $1,530. Purple bags purchased at the center, we had 70 at $2, $158. Mixed single screen, we had 12.03 tons at $35 a ton for $421. Our bale corrugated, 4.72 tons at $92.70 a ton for $437. Our metal, light iron, and tin, we had 3.62 tons at $145, $155, $165, and $175 a gross ton for $519. Our miscellaneous large and small appliances, we had 11. We had 19 TVs, 14 tires, 3 AC units for $511. And that gave us revenues of $4,939. General expenses, refuse landfill, we had 20.59 tons at $69.75 a ton for $1,892, and our expenses were $1,892. The total amount recycled in landfill for the month of May was 40.96 tons.
Very good. Total's going up a little bit.
Okay, yeah,
People cleaning out.
right.
Entertain a motion for Tom's report.
I'll make it.
And a second?
Sure.
All in favor? Aye. Sarah, Brunswick Community Library. Always try to move you up a little bit, but I enjoy ending the evening.
No, it really doesn't seem fair to make us try to follow up Sharon.
Yeah, I know.
You're not doing us any
I'm
service.
gonna have you try, but.
Oh, yeah, no, I feel like I can't do this. So for May, we answered 337 reference questions. Our building was visited 2,110 times. Our Wi-Fi was used by 167 people. Our tech use and assistance, we held 114 people. Our study rooms were used 196 times, and we handed out 391 COVID tests to our community. We do, by the way, still have free COVID tests for community members if anyone needs them, so please let people know. For checkout statistics, we circulated 5,905 items. Our programs were attended 538 times, and that includes book clubs, knitting club, bridge club, story time, speed kits, our seed library, collage class, kids dance class, homeschool club, figure drawing, a quilt meet group, figure shoulder game workshop, and a community folk dance. And it's not technically May, but this past weekend, we had Garden Day, and I will not remember to thank everyone that I need to thank, and I apologize if I missed somebody. I want to thank Rebecca for coming and having a beautiful town booth at our Garden Day from start to finish in the heat. She did an amazing job. Thank you so much for coming. Supervisor Harrington donated an entire mulch truck to help fundraise for the library. Thank you so much. It was wonderful.
I gave you twice what I did last week, you still sold it.
You did so much, and people love it. It was absolutely amazing. Thank you for the support. Councilman Sipperly, I know that your family donated plants to the library, and also that Flora brought over plant parts that you let us borrow from Agway, so thank you so much. I know that Sharon and Lou were there all day. Connie was there with us. My board member Alex was there. Many of my board members, both past and present, were there volunteering with us. Jennifer Mann was there teaching a fundraising gardening class. We had several community farmers come. They brought baby animals with them. The Sheriff's Department from Rensselaer County came. They were doing fingerprinting and meet and greets with our kids. More people than I can possibly remember to thank, but it was a wonderful community day. I had more volunteers than I can count, and so many different community partners who came out to make it a wonderful day. So thank you for helping us throw a wonderful community festival, and we hope to do it again for fall. So,
Thanks.
It was great.
thank you very much.
Thank you, Sarah. All right, entertain a motion for Sarah's report. I'll second it. All in favor? All right, we got to the resolutions, correct?
Yes.
Bill?
Yep.
Good. We're rolling through now.
All right. Resolution number 48 of 2022, resolution granting variance from subdivision law standard.
Offer.
Now, before we vote on this, Mr. Holbert, this is for allowing more than 9 in a color, or dead end.
More than 12.
More than 12, okay.
I think I can speak loud enough so I don't have to use the microphone.
What it is Richard Whitbeck and his wife are seeking to subdivide the 45-acre lot that they own in 10 Krieger Lane to create 3 new building lots. And there's already a total of 14 lots on that dead-end street.
Correct.
So town of Brunswick, the town board has to okay any more, so.
Correct.
What do you got going on there?
You can pull that over if you want, some wire. Yeah.
Okay, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Brian Holbert, licensed land surveyor. And my clients are Dick and Jackie Whitbeck, who own property on Krieger Lane. And what we're proposing to do is create 3 new building lots. 4.2 acres, 3.2 acres, and 6.8 acres. They've all got adequate frontage on Krieger Lane. I've been before the planning board, and of course, we have more lots than are allowed on a dead-end street. As Supervisor Harrington said, we have 14 existing lots. We're asking for 3 more.
Now, you went to the planning board and they reviewed it.
Yes,
And made a positive recommendation. of the
that is
town.
correct.
They looked at the width and.
Yes, yep. You know, they're good-sized lots. If any of you have been up in there, they're all very nice homes. It's a very nice little community up in there, and Jackie's just looking to parcel out 3 more lots and sell those.
There's some health issues going on there.
There are some health issues.
With her health and they just need a little added income, so. Any questions from the board? Bill, go ahead.
Okay. Foregoing resolution offered by Councilman Sullivan, seconded by Councilman Christian. Roll call vote. Councilman Sipperly.
Aye.
Councilman Christian. Councilman Sullivan.
Aye.
Councilman Ballasteri.
Aye.
Supervisor Harrington.
Aye.
Resolution is adopted. Resolution 49 of 2022, resolution appointing superintendent of highways.
Our highway superintendent, Terry Scriven, has retired. So this is to appoint a new highway superintendent. Gordy?
Mr. Christensen.
Yep.
He offered it.
Second.
Just, go ahead and do the resolution.
Foregoing resolution offered by Councilman Christian, seconded by Councilman Sullivan. Roll call vote. Councilman Sipperly.
Aye.
Councilman Christian.
Aye.
Councilman Sullivan.
Aye.
Councilman Ballasteri.
Aye.
Supervisor Harrington.
Aye.
Resolution is adopted.
Michael J. Bailey, Mike, stand up there, buddy, you're here tonight, so. Michael, comes from, maybe I'm wrong here, I'm winging it now. Very large family, 12 in the family, is that correct? So I think the gentleman knows how to stick up for himself, be my guess, being raised in that large family. I've known Mike for a long time, he's part of a very successful Kingsley Arms construction company, Skyhook, which is a family business. This guy's a super hard worker, in the concrete and everything else. I talked to him and asked him if he would be interested. He's taking a big pay cut, I'm telling you. But he said maybe it's time to slow up a little bit. This guy keeps busy 24/7, but he's a type of highway superintendent. I think he'll gain a lot of respect with the men. And what I'm thrilled about, we do have 4 very young guys that came, and I know Mike's history. He's very good, training, so I'm thrilled. Matter of fact, you know what Gordon Fink told me? I did a lot of research. I think he went over and helped one of his kids or grandchildren when they were kids, right, in school, little tutoring on the side. How many years ago was that, Mike? So he's a good guy, welcome, and got a long list for you. Right, Eddie? All right. We'll see you Monday morning, all right? Go ahead.
Okay, let's see. We do the roll call vote on that. You got me confused now. Okay, yes, we did. Okay, so resolution number 50 of 2022.
Thank you.
Resolution authorizing execution of amendment to the 2022 Animal Shelter Services Agreement between the Town of Brunswick and Mohawk Hudson Humane Society.
I'll second it.
The resolution, certainly. Resolution authorizing execution of amendment to the 2022 Animal Shelter Services Agreement between the Town of Brunswick and Mohawk Hudson Humane Society. I can explain that a little bit.
Yeah.
So we have an agreement with them to shelter dogs that are seized by our dog control officer. They also take in other animals. We haven't really gotten into that too much, but for some reason they put a new clause about cats. And we don't seem to get involved with it too much. It was more of a fee schedule adjustment, but they needed us to do a resolution, correct, Tom? Mr. Chaffee?
Yes, it was,
Yeah, they required us in order to keep our agreement is to make a resolution accepting this. And to me personally, we don't really do cats that much. We're really there. We have a dog control officer. We don't have a wild animal person. So it didn't seem to really make much sense, but it was something that we had to do. So,
Okay.
So roll call vote. It's offered by Councilman Christian, seconded by Supervisor Harrington. Roll call vote, Councilman Sickley.
Aye.
Councilman Christian.
Aye.
Councilman Sullivan.
Aye.
Councilman Salisbury.
Aye.
Supervisor Harrington.
Aye.
Foregoing resolution is adopted. Resolution 51. Resolution
The
in,
one on Route 2.
resolution in support of petition filed by concerned citizens of the town requesting that the New York State Department of Transportation study and consider a reduction of the maximum speed limit on a portion of New York Route 2 in the town of Brunswick. Okay.
I'll second it. This is a very, very, commend Mr. Chalky, very, very thorough resolution, very, very detailed. So you guys need to get a copy of this. So go ahead.
Okay. Let's see. Resolution was offered by Councilman Christian, seconded by Councilman Salisbury. Roll call vote, Councilman Sickley.
Aye.
Councilman Christian.
Aye.
Councilman Sullivan.
Aye.
Councilman Salisbury.
Aye.
Supervisor Harrington.
Aye.
Resolution is adopted.
Question was, what's next? I don't know if we know what's next. We're gonna get the resolution by Maureen, I believe.
Well, I have it in the resolution that the town clerk is to send it to region, DOT Region 1, which is where I assume that the petition was already filed with DOT. That's what it said in the paperwork we received. I think that the copy of the petition material they gave us and CCs to two officials at Region 1 of DOT.
Okay.
I can reach out on that a little bit to make sure that they have everything they need to go with the resolution.
I know the original petition wasn't filed with the town. I assume they gave the original to DOT. They gave you a copy.
We have a copy of it, correct?
And that was because when Maureen Mann was here at the last meeting, I asked her to give a copy to the town because we were referring to it in the resolution.
Yeah.
Right.
No, she did. That was a copy, yeah. Okay, double check with someone, well, probably with her. Make sure that she did send that already. Okay, and the last one was Resolution 52 of 2022. Resolution recognizing former Superintendent of Highways, Terry Scriven, on the occasion of his retirement after more than 34 years of dedicated service to the people of the town of Brunswick.
I'll offer.
And sorry, who wanted that?
Bill.
Okay.
Let me read that.
Can I have a second? All got it?
Oh, you do it. I don't like to read resolutions, that's why I wing it, because I was a county legislator once in my life. I didn't like it, and I thought it was too far away from the people. I thought there was too much politics down there. If I came back, where people, here, when I don't pick up the leaves and stuff, but I got out. We had an outstanding soccer team at the time, they did a resolution for Tamarack soccer team. I was out in the middle of the auditorium, it still scars me. I was reading one of these about 10-page resolution, whereas those kids did not want to hear it. But Terry, Mr. Scriven, built a beautiful home in Florida. He and his wife left a couple days ago to go down there. I'm thinking he tuned in tonight. I just want to read this, if you don't mind. Whereas it is from time to time the happy duty of this legislative body to signify milestones in the life of those who have served their community so well. And whereas consistent with that duty, joyous notice is hereby taken of the well-deserved and well-earned retirement of former Superintendent of Highway Terry Scriven on June 4th, 2022, after more than 34 years of dedicated service to the people of the town of Brunswick. Whereas as Terry Scriven began his career in the town of Brunswick Highway Department in 1987, he was a laborer, worked through the ranks over the years, serving as a light equipment operator. Then he moved up as a working foreman, culminating his appointment on October 8th, 2020, to the position of town superintendent of highway. So he moved all the way up from a laborer to running the department. Whereas in addition to a service to the town, Terry Scriven also served at diverse times over the years as an officer of the town of Brunswick unit of the Civil Service Employees Incorporated, the labor organization representing employees of the Brunswick Highway and Water Department. Whereas in addition to his career, Terry Scriven was and is a dedicated family man, lifelong member of our community, who with his wife Laura raised 2 children, and they now have 3 grandchildren. Whereas the work of employees of the town of highway department including that of town of highway superintendent, tedious, endless, and thankless sometimes, is in all respect very vital and necessary to the safety and well-being of the people of the town. And the long and dedicated service of individuals such as Terry Scriven shows the spirits of community goodwill, service to others, with which we all aspire. And now, therefore, be it resolved that this legislative body pauses and recognizes and commends Terry Scriven for his many years of dedicated service to the people of the town of Brunswick, and we wish him a happy and productive retirement and best of luck in future endeavors. Resolved that the town clerk be and hereby directed to forward a copy of this resolution to be engrossed to Terry Scriven. We have got Terry a clock. I might say a beautiful clock. I'm not going to ask him if he wants it or not, but I think he probably does. We'll box this up and we'll get it down to him. So Terry spent many, many years as all the highway guys do in the middle of the night, plowing roads. He was a labor president of the union. He was very fair. I had the pleasure of, sometimes it's not a pleasure, negotiating contracts. He was very fair, but he's always cared for the employees and fellow workers. So Terry served us well and moved on. Now the gate opens, we have a new gentleman. So thank you, Terry and Laura. We appreciate it. So. All right, what else we got, buddy?
We got to finish that one. So the foregoing resolution was offered by Supervisor Harrington and seconded by Councilman Sullivan. Roll call vote, Councilman Sipperly.
Aye.
Councilman Christian.
Aye.
Councilman Sullivan.
Aye.
Councilman Ballasteri.
Aye.
Supervisor Harrington.
Aye.
Resolution is adopted. That's it.
And correspondence?
No, sir.
No correspondence?
No, not today. You didn't give me anything.
Any old business? New business?
Make a motion there, then too.
I'll second it. All in favor?
Aye.
We're getting ready to pave, as mentioned, the price of paving goes up every month. We are fortunate to work with the county highway. They bring a paver in, and we work back and forth. When they need trucks, we go back and forth. So we are gonna start a paving program, I believe, quite soon, so. All right, any further comments from visitors? Come on up. Got it.
Oh, wait, turn, pull that way
Yeah,
down,
that's
sorry.
second one down.
Gail Sarah, Highland Creek. What are you guys gonna do about the traffic problem once everything opens up on Newton Street?
Oh, that's a nice short answer. Well, Tom, want to explain the grant that we applied for?
We applied for a grant, and
What's that gonna do?
Well,
they're gonna study it, and then they're gonna make recommendations.
But everything's gonna be open before that happens.
as was mentioned, we have to have a commercial area. That's our feeling, because people want the road paved, they want your brush picked up, you want your weeds. When we did our comprehensive plan, that's where the water and sewer is, so that was our commercial area. We felt, as mentioned, we tried to keep it off of Route 2. So, it is a challenge, correct? Everybody that comes to town wants to be right there. They don't want to be up the road. They want to be right where all the traffic is. I suggest maybe coming up further. No, we want to be between Walmart and down below, because that's where the traffic is. So we applied for a grant through the federal capital district transportation. I had a Zoom meeting with them the other day with the state DOT people. They're gonna start, they looked at the area of studying. They asked me if there's any particular spots, told the whole section. They had a lot of experts. They're gonna put it out soon to get their engineers and take a look at it. There's talk about traffic lights that communicate now and time and see if they could do a lot of that. I think they can do something with a traffic light, because anybody that knows this one at the end of 142, something happened to that. Because every once in a while, the traffic backs up to Ginsburg's, and then the rest of the time, I think there's something going on there. The other area, just real quickly, been a pet peeve of mine. If you come up Route 7, you get by Ted's Fish Fry, there's a turning lane, and then bang, it's a one lane in the traffic. It's only for one section. Then when you go beyond, it quickly turns back into that turning lane again. We've asked DOT to take a look at that, to keep a 2-lane and keep it flowing. They did not have enough land there that belonged to the plaza people, or well, not the plaza at the time, the business out in front, then it was the plaza. When Mr. Nigro came in and wanted a Taco Bell and a credit union, we said, that's wonderful, but how about deeding the state a chunk of land there, so they've got some width? I brought that up in a Zoom meeting the other day. Someone needs to study that. I think if they can widen that, that would help the flow. Every time we went to the state before, we said it's a mess, and they said, we got a lot of roads that are a mess. And the challenge with that road is there's a lot of traffic that goes through. It's not just local people. They go from Vermont, they're looking at leaves, they're skiing, so it's a different type of flow. That was brought up with the state. It's not just people shopping, it's people trying to get through. So it's gonna be a lot of traffic. I know, but let's see what they come up with.
People going from Walmart to the Northway are not gonna be able to take a left turn to get into Ted's or the fitness center or the gas station. It's gonna be impossible.
They had a lot of experts on the Zoom. I don't know if they're gonna come up. That's what it looks like.
Let them ride up here once in a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I used to go down with our town, engineers and meet with the state. And I got to the point, I do that once a year, I walk in and they say, no, I didn't even ask them that, you know. Roundabouts, that got brought up, and they said there's not enough land that they can get a hold of for that. So that's probably not gonna happen. But that's our concern when we tell these developers, hey, we got a little concern about traffic here. They come in with a letter from the state saying, yeah, we can handle that. So we as a town can't say no. And, you know, I sure would love to have a restaurant. I mean, you know, I think we got enough fast foods, but restaurant people tell me we want offices, we want lunch crowds, you don't have it. So what we end up with is everybody trying to catch some people from New Jersey that's going skiing and want to run in and grab a burger or whatever. So it's zone commercial, so whatever they come in and this is a commercial business, we can't say no, so. Challenge. Anybody else? Jennifer?
I'll be quick, I promise. I think this is the longest meeting I've ever been to.
Yes, it is, it is.
So I made a list, I'll be efficient.
Like 5 Hour Energy, she's doing okay.
I know. When you let me know about the Stefanik event and told me that Castelli could use the space, I did not know the rules, that it was not used as a political space. I was quickly filled in on that by Kathy Betzinger, but I will not hold you to it. I will forfeit. I will not have Matt Castelli come there. I would like to voice my support for returning the building to a nonpartisan space. There's a lot of beautiful privately owned venues in town, like the Elks, that cost the same amount. And you guys have no trouble filling the community center space, so putting the support behind the Elks would be great. I'm a member of the Elks and they need the help, and they're a great community organization. So
You might want to just clarify if you're talking about the caucuses too.
the caucuses.
You have your Democrat caucus.
Because that was started
That
at
was-
your request, not you personally.
Not me. It's
But the Democrat Party asked to have caucuses, and to me, that was a political event. I said,
And-
yes.
But did you say that the Republicans also had caucuses there?
Yeah, we had it last time,
Last time for the first time.
last year for the first time.
I mean, it's a polling.
There was a couple of debates there too.
Huh?
It's a polling place, so I'm okay, that's a polling place, so I think as a polling place, using it for that is fair, like, that, I mean, that's my feeling, if you don't want.
It depends on how where the line gets drawn.
Yeah, and I
It's
will
up to the
observe.
town board where they
Yep,
draw it.
I will observe whatever rules are set, and I will respect that. I missed the last town council meeting, it was my daughter's 12th birthday, but I watched it on the live stream. And I saw the discussion about the 2 polling places that are not gonna be open this time. And it is a very confusing year. We didn't know if there was, it's been so crazy with redistricting, who knew what was gonna happen with the primaries. But I just wanna say, I'm always really concerned when polling places get changed at the last minute. If we can avoid that, it would be better. Voters get confused. I think it will make it so that some people will turn up in the Sickaway Firehouse parking lot will be torn up and they won't even know who to ask and they'll just go home. They got the letter from the DOE, a lot of people are gonna chuck it out. So it's just, I would love in the future to try to have stable polling places. And I would love to say a huge congratulations and thank you to Mr. Scriven if he is watching. And I've been coming to these meetings for about 3.5 years, with missing very few, and no offense to any of you or the department heads, but it's dry, except when Sharon talks, and Sharon has always been the highlight of every meeting. She gives us such wonderful little tidbits about the town and the history of the town. One thing I really share with her is a really deep love for Brunswick, even as someone who is not born here. I'm from North Carolina, lived all over the country, never felt like I was home anywhere until I moved to Brunswick. And this is just such a magical town. It's a really special place. And Sharon really brings that out in every meeting. When she gives her report, she really makes it feel like a very special place. So lots of thank yous to you for all. And she has put so much time and energy into this. She's definitely not done it for the money. You can tell when she's not doing her reports.
I have no pension. No pension.
Yeah, so thank you very much, Sharon. It's been really fun hearing all of your reports. I'm going to miss you. So I'll see you. But I'll miss hearing your reports.
I just want to say one thing, if I can, about the community center. Since 1998, right? That's when we got the community center up and running. And if you'll remember, in 2000,
We had the swearing-in ceremony there for Dan Crowley, who was Republican Town Chairman, I believe you were. Newly elected, or re-elected, and I can't remember who all was on the board. But we did the swearing in, and we wondered if that was appropriate. And I think the way it went, maybe Tom was involved in this, I'm not sure what attorney got back to us, but it was simply an event with refreshments, food, no charge, anyone could walk in the door. We had a few invited guests, but anyone could come in the door, as I remember. Right?
Yep.
And I would like to see, I think you need to make a policy, maybe have some citizen input, that's up to you, but I would like to see the community center offer the local people some of the things that we talked about, not just be available for rent, for birthday parties and baby showers and stuff like that, but we initially talked about having a place where artists could show their artwork, some kind of maybe theatrical performances or choral sings with kids. And it seems like we just don't do that anymore. And I know we have a lot of artistic talent in this community. One person that spoke to me recently, just a couple of weeks ago, was Amy Modesti, who's a part-time reporter with the Eastwood Press. She's showing me photographs of some of her work, and she said, geez, I'd love to have a chance to get my name out there and have my works on display. Maybe I could sell a few sometime if I could display them. And she's not the only one. We had some beautiful quilts on display from the local quilt guild at the library Saturday. Those things are beautiful just for people to come in and see, not necessarily sell, but those kinds of crafts can inspire others to take up that craft. And maybe there's some groups that would like to conduct classes low cost or free of charge for some of our citizens at the community center. I know we have to pay the bills. I know that the income from the rentals is important, and we don't have Hilda Phillips anymore managing the space, but it would just be nice to see that facility other than, drive by and see a sign that says happy birthday, Fred.
That's something that's come up over the years, and as far as my knowledge, the board's always resisted opening it up to people selling things there, even service.
Well, I don't think it has to necessarily be sales, just art that people can enjoy.
That's different.
Yeah.
That's not what you said.
No, well, I know, I said, so if the ladies that were at the library the other day, they had their art for sale, but I think they're also promoting the learning of the craft also by having those things on display. Just something, if it would just be maybe a week in the fall and a week in the spring that we didn't have it available for rent and just have it open and get some community volunteers. That's something that I would like to volunteer to coordinate. And I imagine there are others. So just think about it. I think the more we work together and spend time together in these times, the better off we are.
Okay, thanks, Sharon. Anybody else, any other visitors? Oh.
Mary Princesky, 387 Brunswick Road. I want to sincerely thank all of you for 135 of my neighbors, some of whom are sitting here with me tonight, for passing the resolution about the reduction of speed on Route 2. I cannot help but feel we're going to save somebody's life, and it might be my own.
Well, thank you for your effort and everybody else.
I really appreciate your help with this, Phil, and we absolutely like a copy of the resolution.
It's excellent.
And we would like to figure out where we go from here. Exactly what we do, because we know that we've got the DOT to deal with now too.
Like I said, the way it was put to us at the last meeting, it had already been filed.
No, DOT will not deal with individual citizens.
Well,
So we need this resolution, this is
But
critical.
who's got the original petition? Because actually,
We have, Maureen Madden wrote that petition, so she has that petition.
that should probably go to DOT then.
We can send it to DOT, but we would also like the resolution from the town.
No, yeah,
But
for sure.
I'm just telling you that what we were saying has CCs.
That's
It
correct.
has Robert Wright, I think his name is, and then some other lady's name, who's the director. So the indications that we got were that it was already filed.
No, they will not accept that from individual citizens. And we got pushback from the board about having a petition, that's why we went out and petitioned 135 of our neighbors. Almost all of those people are right along Route 2 or the feeder routes that come into the streets. Only 7 people were not in that, 7 were not in that area. We had 5 people that we approached that did not sign the petition. So this is something that people have wanted, and they've wanted it for a long time. So but we need to know where we're going next.
It's gonna get filed, it sounds like, and if Maureen or you see the plus of me talking to somebody, you know, Jake Aspey or whoever, I'm more than happy to do that too. So maybe you can bring my secretary up to speed, Tracy,
Okay,
what you need from us,
okay,
anything.
okay.
Yeah, we didn't want to put all this time in it and have it die, that's not the idea, so. So whatever you think would help, you know, right now it's gonna get filed.
Yep.
The resolution's gonna get
Yeah.
sent out there, but the resolution actually does say, you know, that the petition to be filed with DOT, because that's what the information we received said.
Would it be helpful to attach a copy of that with your resolution when you file?
The original should have gone to DOT, because that's what was addressed.
Correct, but
Yes.
you're putting in the petition, so would it not be reasonable to at least put a copy of?
Sure.
Yeah, we can-
It's certainly not gonna hurt.
We can do that.
I'm just
And we
just
would like
saying
the
that
wording
that's not
of,
the information that was presented.
we would like the wording of the resolution that was passed tonight.
Here,
And that is-
this whole resolution, I have to take to my office, finish it up, because it has to be
Okay.
all done up. So if you want to leave me information to, I can email it to you,
Okay,
or it can be picked up here, you know, a copy of, whatever you'd like. If you want to leave your
No, no.
information with me before we leave tonight, that's fine.
all right.
You'll make copies and give it to everybody, so take that right with you.
Oh, okay. Oh, this is great. All right. Thank you very much.
But just contact our office, just give a call. This should be ready tomorrow,
Okay,
in its completed form, and I can make it available to you.
okay, that would be great. Again, thank you very much.
Anybody else at this point?
Hello, Alex Duggan, 70 Colhamer Avenue, but right now I'm speaking as a library board member to thank Sarah very deeply. Under her direction, the library has become a community center. We're operating on it's called a small library budget, but we're doing medium and large library programs. We have our social groups at large library numbers. So keep the funding coming, please, because while Keys Lane Community Center is rented out for private events, which is fine, come to the library for all your community art classes, dance classes, and anything else you need. So thank you for keeping library funding coming.
Anybody else? Come on right up.
Louis Hardwick, Whitehall Road.
Yeah, that was,
Let's get to one quick thing. Am I ever gonna get the resolution of White Church Road flooding? I came to a board, meeting a month or two ago. Sure, I'll forward the email. And we're reaching the 1-year anniversary.
Bill, you know what?
From the DOT? Yeah, you said you had an email that was all resolved and you were gonna forward it to me.
Okay, I will put this in my phone so I do not forget.
Meet up with them after the meeting there, so. You get the court.
And my second item was a bad item. Fiasco. But I was, plus I kept my big mouth shut at the beginning of the meeting. I heard your speech, very good, thank you. Made a mistake. Big mistake, it was just a mistake. You would think bad things.
I don't think I made a mistake.
Well,
I didn't make a mistake. The mistake was, but let's not get into that. The mistake was the door got locked and shut. Whether that was because of the protest and concerns. I think if people could come in and visit, I don't think it was a mistake, but
I was inside, and I ended up walking out, because I felt I was insulted between the demonstrators outside and the political.
that's what I'm saying. It didn't work out quite like I expected.
I'm soured of the process, you know, that it was supposed to be to meet somebody.
Right.
And that way your speech and thing was excellent. You
What's
did an
that?
introduction, and you stayed away from everything.
I just said, welcome to Brunswick and sat down, so.
But after you people got up and they're like, how we turn this down, we have a party, the demonstrators outside, like it, you know, basically the demonstrators, I think, owe the town an apology. And the organizers of the event, they haven't told you what's going on. They got up and, you know, the speeches at the beginning were not good. You know, they were divisive, dividing Democrats against Republicans. I like to work with people. They do, when I don't like what you do, and I tell you when I like what you do, and they vote for you every 2 years, 4 years. Yeah, you know, you appreciate it. It's a lot of work, it's low paid, and you only hear a yelling. If those parties, the issue of politics in town, where it's organized inside, on the outside and on the inside, that makes us all feel a lot better.
It's, kind of a tough environment at this point in time, so unfortunately. We sell topsoil and mulch, and I'm out there loading trucks, and guys get out and they're screaming, the gas price, it just still us over $100, and I can't afford this, and everybody's mad and upset. And both parties, I think, is crazy.
I'm not mad at upset.
What's that?
I'm not mad at upset.
No, there's a lot of people. The only guy that wasn't, I'm sorry, shouldn't end with this, but the guy came in, and I'm not justifying this, I'm a town official, and I know all this stuff, I'm just saying. Some guy came in today with a pickup, he rolled his window down, and the smoke came out of that truck for about 10 minutes. Fog. And he was the happiest guy in the world. He said, whenever you get ready and load me, I'm fine. And I don't know what he was smoking in there, but he was about the happiest guy I ever seen, you know, so. I'm not saying that's what we need to do, but wish we could all just take kind of a breath and work together a little bit.
Not that kind of breath.
He was happy. I don't know if you do. When you get around to it, load me, put on whatever you want, I don't care. I don't know where. Man. Anyway, we'll end with that, all right? Anybody else? All right, this has been a long evening. I wanted my tech buddy to know that, because if she knows our normal 15-minute meeting, she'd lobby to cut my salary. So it's always this long. So. All right, entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make it.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.